Auburn is 16-14 on the year, barely above 500, but they have the nation's toughest schedule. We've heard all about it from Bruce Pearl. He obviously leaves before the season, leaves the head coaching job to his son, Stephen Pearl, and now he's vying for Auburn to make the tournament over a Miami of Ohio, over a few other teams on national television. He's a TV analyst for TNT and CBS, of course, and he's vying for Auburn. I get that they have the toughest schedule, and Miami of Ohio they have a terrible schedule, but Auburn, you can't put a team in that is barely above 500. It hadn't happened in a long time, and I get it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Daily Ham, episode 15, here on the Hammy Show. I'm your host, Hammy Culpepper. Of course, we're presented by First American Bank and Trust. We have a jam-packed episode. Tons of college basketball to talk about, a little college baseball, some World Baseball Classic. The Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill starts tomorrow. Everything is happening in the world of sports. It's March. It's one of the greatest months in sports. It is awesome stuff, and we've got you covered right here on the Hammy Show and the Daily Ham every single Monday through Thursday night at 6 p.m., so come see us when you can. But I want to start on some unfortunate news, some sad news that absolutely breaks my heart. And that was just released that Lou Holtz, the longtime legendary college football coach, has passed away at the age of 89. I wanted to talk about Lou Holtz for just a quick sec before we jump to some other major news in the world of sports. But Lou Holtz is one of the greats, one of the all-time greats in college football. The 1988 national championship head coach for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He's won 2 Paul Bear Bryant Coach of the Year awards in 77 and 88. He is one of the GOATs, one of the guys up there that college football will remember forever. Of course, his lisp that everybody talks about, you want to remember that. But as a motivator, as a leader of men, he was one of those guys that comes to mind when you think of one of the greats in that category as well. Lou Holtz will rest a legend, but let's go through his career real quick. From 1969 to 1971, he got his first head coaching job, and that was at William & Mary. From there, he moved to NC State 1972 to 1975. Then from there, he went to the New York Jets for just one season in 1976. Then to Arkansas, where he kind of built that notoriety, and he became one of the kind of big-time names on the coaching market, and that was at Arkansas from 1977 to 83. Then to Minnesota for 2 seasons, 84 and 85, and then Notre Dame. And that's when he became the legend that he is today. And that is when he won a national championship in 1988. That is from 1986 to 1996 when he spent his time in South Bend, Indiana. So, that's just an awesome coach and an awesome leader of men. One that definitely stings, and it stinks to see him go. After Notre Dame, he went to South Carolina, where he remained for 6 seasons, 99 to 2004. Lou Holtz, rest in peace. You will be missed in the college football world and the football world beyond. You are an all-time motivator, an all-time coach, and an all-time legend. And like I said, you will be missed. So, Lou Holtz, rest in peace. All right, let's get to college basketball. It has been a crazy season. One of the all-time great seasons in college basketball, you could say. You've got your cream of the crop, like top-tiered teams that are just juggernauts and seemingly on their way like a freight train to a national championship. But like I said, there's not just one of them. There's not just one team that has kind of separated themselves amongst the rest. You've got Florida, you've got Duke, you've got Arizona, you've got Michigan. Houston has been in that mix. Purdue has been in that mix. Iowa State has been in that mix. But I'd say Duke, Arizona, Florida, and Michigan are your top 4 that are ahead above everybody else. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but when you talk about those 4 teams, their net rating is over 35.00. In college basketball seasons, we rarely see a team reach that 35 or above mark in the net ratings. This year we have 4 teams. So if they are all 1 seeds, it's looking like UConn might have that 4th 1 seed and booting Florida to a 2 seed. But if Florida sneaks in to host or to be a 1 seed, then we could see for back-to-back seasons, another year of the Final Four where it's all one seeds. It's just how it's going to shake out because all of these teams are so talented. If you're a betting man, bet on those 4 teams over the field. I am just telling you, they're all insane. So that brings us to the fallers and risers of the week. Fallers and risers, you've got some teams that are falling out of bubble watch. You've got some teams that are climbing within. You've got some teams that are... Gosh, the iPad is just going off. You've got some teams that are kind of just moving up and down, but they're safely in, but they're fluctuating whether they're raising their status or dropping below. So we start with Florida. Florida has been on a 10-game win streak. Wins include a victory over number 23 Alabama when they played them, a victory against number 25 Kentucky, and a victory over number 20 Arkansas. Also some big-time wins at Georgia, at Texas A&M, at Texas, at Ole Miss, all just beatdowns. They have been on a roll recently, this Florida team. I love them going into this March Madness. Hammy, and how Miami of Ohio could miss the tournament is criminal. I couldn't agree with you more. We've got Cade Black pitching in on the Instagram live chat. I just think Miami of Ohio should be in no matter what. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but the fact that they're 29-0 is an incredible feat, and a feat that we could never have imagined from a team of that caliber, a team that in this day and age of college basketball, you get these teams that are mid-major teams that, yes, they have a magical year, but they don't go undefeated, and then they only have that year for 1 year, and then it's off that those best players on that team transfer to another school, another better school. So you just – it stinks to see that this is even a conversation, but that's just how it is. They're 30-0 right now, and they still are kind of on the bubble, because if they slip up and fall in the conference tournament, the MAC conference tournament, then we could see them drop out of the tournament. And it's absolutely insane. I get that they have a terrible strength of schedule. It ranks 371st in the nation. But to win every single game in a college basketball season is nearly impossible. We've only seen it 5 times before, I believe. If you boot this Miami of Ohio team, I do not understand the ramifications of it, because I think the nation has fallen in love with this team and the storyline of Miami of Ohio and what they've been. But it's insane. They're in our middle tier. So we've got our risers, we've got our fallers in the March Madness talk right now, but Miami is just floating right there. And if they keep winning, they're obviously staying safe, but they have to win in the conference tournament, and it just sucks that it's going to come down to that. So let's keep talking about some more fallers and risers. Your first faller is NC State. NC State got a massive win over North Carolina, just beat down 82-58, but North Carolina was missing Caleb Wilson, the freshman phenom, who has been breaking Michael Jordan's records. He leads UNC in so many categories. I think 4 of the major 5: points, rebounds, steals, and blocks per game. Insane stuff from Caleb Wilson. He's absent in that game against NC State. NC State rolls to a win. But in their last 6 games, that's their only win. They've lost 5 out of the last 6. Lost at 24th ranked Louisville. Lost to Miami, who is now ranked 22nd in the country. Lost at 11 Virginia. Lost at Notre Dame, which is a terrible loss. Notre Dame is not good. Sorry to say that on the death of Lou Holtz, but Notre Dame basketball, not good this year. And then, of course, earlier this week, they lost to number 1 ranked Duke. So, yes, they've had some high-quality opponents in there, but they cannot put it together. It is not going well for the Wolfpack. And I hate to say it, because I like Will Wade. I like this team a lot. They've got some superstars that can take them to the next level, and we've seen them play really good basketball throughout the course of the season. But closing out the year, they have just fallen off. They are safely in the tournament right now, but if they keep losing, if they have an early exit from the ACC tournament, they could jump into that bubble watch last 4 buys conversation and be right there on the verge of missing the NCAA tournament. It looks like they're okay, but NC State, definitely one of your fallers right now. Back to a riser. That is your Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia claimed a huge victory last night against Alabama in Stegman Coliseum, a 10-point win, 98-88 over the 16th ranked Crimson Tide. Insane stuff. Cannon Catchings came out of absolute nowhere and turned it on. 32 points, a career high. Was raining threes all night long, dunks, behind the back passes. He looked like a superstar. He looked like that player that Georgia had been missing kind of all season long. We have been relying on him, the BYU transfer, to take that step forward and be the guy that we could lean on in the paint as a small forward. He has the most NBA potential on this Georgia roster. He is the next level player that can take you to the next level, that is the NCAA tournament. He turns it on last night. Georgia gets the massive win. But in their last 5 games, they've won 4. They lost at 25th ranked Vanderbilt, who is now 24th ranked Vanderbilt. They beat Kentucky in Rupp Arena for just the 5th time in program history. They beat Texas after taking a terrible loss to them in Austin earlier this year, revenge game. They beat South Carolina, one of the worst teams in the SEC, but one of those games that just kind of can sneak up on you, especially when you're looking ahead toward the end of the season with Bama looming. Big-time performance from the Georgia Bulldogs as of recent. They are definitely one of your risers. They had that tough skid earlier in the year, but have majorly rebounded. It started with that win in Rupp Arena at Kentucky. It really starts with Jeremiah Wilkinson. Jeremiah Wilkinson running the point, running the 2. He is the guy that kind of, if he goes, Georgia goes. And in the absence, when he was missing for injury, he was sorely missed. It was pathetic what Georgia basketball was doing. Now he's come on his own, and he has been the difference maker for this Georgia team. Of course, when you have a guy like Cannon Catching who goes for 32 points last night, it's hard to beat this Georgia team. They're one of the most prolific offenses in college basketball. I think they rank 5th in points per game. So this Georgia basketball, if they can keep Somto Surreal out of foul trouble, if Jeremiah Wilkinson stays healthy, and if you can get a couple of games down the stretch from Cannon Catchings like you had last night. I'm not asking for 32, but some seriously good playmaking throughout the 2 halves of basketball for all 40 minutes of a college basketball game. You could really see this Georgia basketball team make a move in the SEC tournament and maybe win a couple games in the NCAA tournament. They are definitely on the rise. Next faller we have is Auburn. Auburn is 16-14 on the year, barely above 500, but they have the nation's toughest schedule. We've heard all about it from Bruce Pearl. He obviously leaves before the season, leaves the head coaching job to his son, Stephen Pearl, and now he's vying for Auburn to make the tournament over a Miami of Ohio, over a few other teams on national television. He's a TV analyst for TNT and CBS, of course, and he's vying for Auburn. I get that they have the toughest schedule, and Miami of Ohio they have a terrible schedule, but Auburn, you can't put a team in that is barely above 500. It hadn't happened in a long time, and I get it's the toughest schedule, but this team is not built for the tournament right now, and I don't think they deserve to be in. I'm not saying they're not one of the best 68 teams in college basketball, but deserving-wise, which is a lot of what this boils down to for the selection committee, I'm just saying Auburn does not belong in the tournament. In their last 9 games, they've won just 2, lost 7 out of the last 9. Only wins coming to Kentucky and LSU last night, but they lost at Oklahoma, a bad one. Against Ole Miss at home. They lost at Mississippi State, at 21st ranked Arkansas, against Vanderbilt at home, against Bama at home, and at Tennessee. They're just on a terrible skid that has really taken this season off of the rails. They currently sit in Joe Lunardi's bracketology as the first team out. So they're still on the bubble and have the conversation. If they make a super late push, get a victory over Bama come Saturday and make a little bit of a push in the SEC tournament, we could see Auburn still in this, but they have to do it. Right now, they are on the downward trend, and it is not looking good for the Tigers or the War Eagles or the Plainsmen or whatever you want to call them. Your next riser is Ohio State. The Buckeyes got a massive win over number 8 Purdue last night. Huge one. They're 3-3 in their last 6 games, which doesn't sound great, but their losses come at number 15, Michigan State, and against Virginia in a neutral site. Virginia is the 15th ranked team in the country. When they played them, they're now 11th in the country. So Ohio State, definitely a riser because of that win against Purdue last night. Massive, massive, massive. They are one of the last 4 in right now. But it all comes down to Saturday's game against Indiana. They have 2 games left. They play Penn State and then Indiana to close out the year. They need that win over Indiana as we stand right now. Indiana is the last team in, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Hoosiers, but they're the last team in, and Ohio State is the third to last team in. They're in that last 4 in category. We could see in that game, Ohio State versus Indiana, that those 2 teams flip. One of the loser of that game fall completely out of the tournament, and they have to make it up in the Big Ten tournament. The Big Ten is loaded. The SEC and Big Ten are both expected to get 9 to 10 teams in this tournament. Those 10 teams in this tournament coming from those conferences, it's going to be a hard push, and Ohio State and Indiana are right on the verge of that, so they both need Big Ten tournament performances, but if Ohio State wants to stay on the upward trajectory, they've got to get a victory over the Hoosiers come Saturday. Your next faller is Indiana, so let's just go ahead and talk about the Hoosiers. The Hoosiers went on a run of winning 5 out of their 6 before losing 4 straight, and that is where we stand right now with the Hoosiers. 3 of those losses were to top 15 opponents. They sit as the last team in, like I said, but that game against Ohio State is going to be their Super Bowl. It's all going to come down to that. So their last 4 games, they lost at number 8 Illinois. They lost at number 7 Purdue. They lost to Northwestern, which is not a great loss. And then they lost against number 13 Michigan State. So all top 15 opponents, or 3 top 15 opponents, but the scores are just abysmal. Against Illinois, 71-51 lost. Against Purdue, 93-64 lost, nearly a 30-point loss. Northwestern, a bad team. They still lost by 4. And Michigan State, the 13th ranked team in the country, they lost by 13. So Indiana, definitely one of your fallers. They were safely in as we looked at it a couple of weeks ago. They were in most likely dancing in that 90% or above range to make the college basketball tournament. Now they sit as the last team in, and those chances have dropped drastically. So Indiana, you're one of your last fallers. Your final faller is San Diego State. San Diego State is duking it out in the Midwestern Conference the Mountain West Conference with New Mexico, and they play. And it's going to be awesome. They already played, and it was an awesome game. But aside from a win over their conference leader, that is Utah State, the Aztecs are on a terrible skid, losing 4 out of their last 5, a loss to Grand Canyon University, at Colorado State, the win over Utah State, then a loss at New Mexico and at Boise State. That Utah State win was a 17-point win and boosted them above New Mexico when we talked about this last. Now, with the loss to New Mexico in the head-to-head, they fall behind New Mexico. New Mexico is in the tournament, while San Diego State is on the outside looking in. So there's your college basketball update, some risers and fallers. We talked a little bit about it on Instagram today, posted some graphics regarding these risers and fallers, had some comments regarding Kansas. Kansas took a tough loss last night to Arizona State. UNC, they're on the rise. They're hopefully getting Caleb Wilson back this weekend against number 1 overall Duke in one of the great rivalries in all of sports. UNC, of course, got the win over Duke in the Dean Dome earlier this season. If they want to win that Duke game, they need Caleb Wilson back. But the question remains, do you play Caleb Wilson? He has a fractured hand. Do you rush him back so you can get that win over Duke? Or do you let him get healthy and prepare for the ACC tournament? Regardless, UNC is on the rise as of recent. I think they've won 6 out of their last 7. So Kansas and UNC didn't make our big-time risers and fallers talking point, but they're definitely in those categories of risers and fallers. All right, next up on the docket, we got to talk World Baseball Classic. World Baseball Classic is in full effect, my friends. First game of the day happening tonight at 10 p.m. in Tokyo, Japan. It is Chinese Taipei at Australia. Australia will be the home team in Japan. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to kick this thing off, and we're going to keep it rolling. We got plenty of World Baseball Classic coverage coming your way. Tomorrow, we've got Czechia at Korea in Tokyo and Australia at Czechia in Tokyo as well. Those are at 5 a.m. and 10 p.m., so technically not a doubleheader for their time frame, but in our time frame, they do fall in the same 24-hour span. However, for those people over there in Tokyo, it is not in the same day. So then Friday, That's when you get the Americans. The United States takes on Brazil in Houston, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, 8 p.m. on Fox. Tune in because it's going to be awesome. I am super pumped for the World Baseball Classic. I'm looking forward to America's chances. I think we've got a good chance, and I think we can make a run at this thing. Japan is, of course, dominant. The Dominican, very good team. A lot of those Central American teams have some superstars. But this American team, we talked about the lineup yesterday, they are going to be a handful when we get to the World Baseball Classic and those guys hit the diamond. All right. To close it out, we're talking a little PGA Tour. Arnold Palmer Classic Invitational starts tomorrow at Bay Hill. A big-time tournament, 750 FedEx points on the line. Scotty Scheffler is your favorite to win, of course. At plus 310, Scotty Scheffler is head and shoulders above the rest of the field to win this thing. Rory has the next best odds at plus 1,000. Interesting take right here. The second-ranked player in the FedEx standings is Chris Gotterup. 2 PGA Tour wins on the year. He has plus 4,500 odds to win this thing. He missed the cut last weekend at the Genesis Invitational, but Chris Gotterup is off to a super hot start this PGA Tour season. He is your bet of the day. If you're looking for some really good odds, give me Chris Gotterup to win the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. I think Chris Gotterup is one of the hottest players on the tour right now. Scotty Scheffler is, of course, the juggernaut that everybody has to go through. Jacob Bridgman got the big-time win last weekend, but I love what Chris Gotterup is doing, how he's looking throughout the course of this early PGA Tour season. Guys, we're getting close to some serious major talk. The Masters are getting closer. And ladies and gentlemen, the PGA Tour season will be in full swing. It's going to be awesome, so stay tuned. On the golf front, we've got plenty to talk about here on the Hammy Show. I want to mention my friends First American Bank and Trust and a few other friends that are helping get this show off the ground. First American, of course, they're the presenting sponsor of the Hammy Show. They have been awesome friends to us. They have gotten the business account off of the ground. They've gotten me started as a young entrepreneur, a young LLC. They are the best in the business. And the best part about it is when you go in there, you cash a check, you talk to the ladies, they always have a smile on their face. They are just the sweetest people. And I don't understand finances, but they do, and they got you covered. They help me day in, day out. First American Bank and Trust presenting the Hammy Show. First shout out. Next one. We got to talk about our friends at Hughes Subaru. We have some seriously big-time announcements coming next week regarding where we're hitting the road, and it's going to be electric. I'll give you a hint. It starts with a B and ends with ball. You can go baseball or you can go basketball. You can even go both. Just saying. But Hughes Subaru is powering the Hammy Show on the road. Last night, we went to Georgia at Kennesaw State Baseball. It was awesome. Georgia comes out with an 11-1 win. Big-time dub for the Dogs, their first road win of the season. But none of that would be possible without Hughes Subaru. Those 4 wheels on my car, my 2019 Subaru Outback, came from Hughes Subaru. We've had a little technical difficulties since I hit a deer. Well, I'm taking it right back to the shop. They're getting it all fixed. They do it so fast and with a smile on their face. And finally, our last shout out. Thank you to Hughes Subaru for powering the Hammy Show on the road real quick. But last one is Vinyl Frontier. Vinyl Frontier is the greatest record store in the entire world. In Carrollton, Georgia, right off the town square. It's awesome. It's electric. It's great. You go in, you pick out your record, your favorite artist. You talk to the guys behind the counter. But if you can't make it in, even though it's all about the experience and going to the record store in that awesome place, you got to go to their online shop, thevinylfrontier.com, and you can find any record in the entire universe. It's awesome. So, my friends, college basketball is in full swing. We are living it up. We've got some major announcements, like I said, coming next week where we're heading. It's going to be awesome. If anybody wants to tail me, hop on in the Subaru Outback, and we'll go all the way to where we're going. I'm not going to say it yet. I almost did, but I bit my tongue. But college basketball, we've got a few games tonight, and then we wrap up the season on Saturday before conference tournament play. We got you covered here on the Hammy Show on the road. Rest in peace to Lou Holtz. But that does it for us, my friends. This is the Hammy Show presented by First American Bank and Trust. This is the Daily Ham, episode 15. And I'm your host, Hammy Culpepper. As always, my friends, ham it up.